Start with our prayer. Sorry, we'll start with our prayer. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. All right, so last week I could not do it. My apologies. I still have a slight irritation in my throat, but hopefully we won't have any issues today. No cough or anything. We'll start with Ramayana. I haven't uploaded the last one. Anyway, last time we discussed how Bharatha finally reaches Chitrakuta, where Ram, Lakshmana, and Sita are residing. How Bharatha first approaches with Lakshmana Vashishta. He goes and sees Rama, and they exchange greetings. They bond emotionally over there. They have emotional reunion kind of thing. And Rama asks him a series of questions on administration, on finance, on security, and various other issues. And this was done about 14,000 years ago when Ramayana actually happened. So these things are still relevant today. Coming to Bharata's response, which we are doing today. So Bharata immediately starts, as soon as Rama finishes, he tells Rama, our father, the death of our father, he tells our father died soon after you left, and I've performed the rituals. But he says, the questions you ask, they don't matter to me because it is for you to take the reins as the next king. As soon as Rama hears that Dasharatha has passed away, he kind of faints. When he's back a little more composed, Rama, Sita, Lakshmana, Bharata, Shatrugna, they're all emotional. They're all grieving together. Then Rama said that he's quite sad that he could not perform the last rites. So what he does is he asks Lakshmana. So they have a tree in the forest over there called Ingudi tree. There's a fruit that comes on that tree, and Rama says, "Why don't you get the pulp of that fruit? We'll use that as pinda. Pinda is an offering to the departed." So it's in cities and all, we usually give rice balls. I don't know how many of you are aware of it, but usually that's a tradition. There's rice balls, there's some rituals that go with it. Here, he's managing with what he has in the forest. He doesn't have rice or anything, so he's using this. And they perform the last rites on at the banks of the river there. This is where all the others join. So Kaushalya, Sumitra, Kaikai, and all the others, they join them over there. Kaushalya has a quick catch up with Ram, and then she takes Sita and goes aside, and she's asking about her, how she is, and all that. There is after the reunion, they come back to the hut, and there Rama asks Bharata why he has come in search of Rama dressed in antelope skin. If you remember, Bharata, when he meets Guha tells him how he was dressed up, how he spent that last night at the banks of Ganga before crossing the river Ganga. So after that, Bharata also is dressing the same way. He's pretty much following the same ritual as Rama, and that's why he has those clothes. It's made out of antelope skin, and he has got matted hair. And Rama asks, why have you abandoned the kingdom? So Bharata says, look, my mother Kaikai, she's committed a great sin of destroying our father's reputation. She's secured this kingdom for me, but now I'm offering it back to you. All right, grant me this favor. He's telling Rama, grant me this favor by taking over the kingdom. Now you get coronated as king, and I'll take your place. It is not my wish, but my mother's wish. So he's trying to justify his position again, like he did with Guha, with Bharadwaja Muni. So he's saying, this is not never my wish. It was the wish of my mother Kaikeyi who did all this, who wanted me to become the king. Now I want you to become the king. Not just me, even our widowed mothers, the ministers, and the subjects who are all here, uh, who want you to become the next king. Uh, and with his head bowed down, he tells, "Look, I'm like your brother, your disciple, and a servant. All of and along with all these ministers, please grant me this wish." So he's begging, pretty much begging Rama. Then he also goes on to explain in a few words as to how Dasharatha has raised Rama, just like planting a sapling and then the sapling growing into a tree giving out fruits. But it would be unfortunate for Ayodhya if Rama doesn't come back, and he equates that to the tree not giving the desired fruits after so much toil. Then Rama's response is actually quite straightforward. Rama consoles Bharatha first. He says, take control of yourself. I know father passed away, and all the events that have happened so far, consider it as a part of destiny. So he says these things cannot be avoided. Okay, we are not independent. We are bound by certain elements of fate. So you can't avoid that. That has to happen. Then he also goes on to explain that in different words. So he's explaining the same thing in different ways. He's saying even a house that's constructed on solid foundation, over time it just dilapidates. It becomes a dilapidated house. It can decay. You have wooden houses; they can decay. So there is nothing that is consistent. So you can't expect the what happened with our forefathers. So the firstborn is usually becomes the next king. That does not necessarily have to happen in this case. The systems are meant to be broken. So that's kind of the gist of his flow of response. And he says, our father, King Dasharatha, we've followed a good dynasty of kings. Okay, they're virtuous. They have done all the right things by the people. And I'm honoring his wishes, his and Kaikeyi's wishes. I cannot make him look like a liar by coming back into the kingdom. Okay, it'll be like me disrespecting his last wish. So you go back and you run the kingdom. I'll look after the forest for the next 14 years. And he also explains that our father has given you a duty and me a duty. So it's like the way he presents it is there is no difference between you and me. You're looking after the kingdom. I'm looking after the forest. So that's how he presents it. Bharatha is really surprised because he's looking at it this way. Forest life is not an easy life. Rama's left behind all the luxuries of life, all the servants, everything, and he's coming and living in the forest. And he's saying it's pretty much the same thing. Dasharatha has given us a responsibility each. He acknowledges Rama's words, and he says he goes on saying that there is an ancient saying that at the time of death, people are usually deluded. and he's referring to Dashratha here. And he says Dashratha's actions prove it. One who sets right the wrongs done by their father is a true son. So you come back and take the throne. So you be the worthy one who can come back and correct his wrong. If you disregard my request, I will go wherever you go. So he's practically begging Rama to go back to the kingdom. So Bharata basically makes a very compelling argument. Everyone over there, from Vashishta to the ministers, their mothers, everyone's very pleased with Bharata's speech, and they are praising him because he says, look, he's made really compelling speech. But Rama's response is again back the same thing. He says, look, before Dasharatha married Kaikeyi, he had promised her 2 boons, and she asked for it. All right, the 2 boons were, one was for you to become the king and for me to go into exile for 14 years, and that is not going to change. Because if I come back into the kingdom, people will not respect me. Why? Because I have disrespected my father's wish. They will not respect me. I need to be happy about it. So I will not come back. I'll go into the Dandaka forest and rule the forest from here. What I'll do is I'll stop here. There's still a little more conversation. Jabali steps in, Vashishta steps in, and then after that, Rama convinces Bharata to go back to the kingdom. So we'll do that next week. But for now, I'll stop here. With respect to the Bhagavad Gita, just a quick review because we've had a break. Chapter 6 starts off where we left chapter 5, and it's kind of a quick review of all the verses that we've done. So Lord Krishna starts off by saying there is no difference between sannyasa and karma yogi. Sannyasa, yes, he gives up all the material things, all relationships, everything. But a karma yogi has to live in society and has to give up all the desire, and that's how he becomes a yogi. So his job is harder and it is more important, more worthy. So this is the argument or presentation that Krishna makes when he's talking to Arjuna. So he says, you don't have to give up everything. You are a Kshatriya. You have to follow your occupation, and you have to do your duty as a Kshatriya. You can't just give up everything and become a sannyasi, because both are the same. It's just different approaches to the same thing. He goes on to say that somebody who's already established in that karma yoga, in yoga, somebody who's established in karma yoga, they are using their actions as a means to the end, whereas somebody who's more advanced, right, somebody who's gone beyond that, somebody who's already living as a karma yogi, they can move into the next stage where they are using meditation as a means to go into that stage of sannyasa, where you become one with God, or you are one. You just following that pathway even more intensely. So that's kind of a gist of what we've done. And he says you should raise yourself beyond. You should raise yourself by yourself. What he says is, you are the only one who can make this decision. Nobody can make the decision for you. It's like taking a horse to water and asking the horse to drink water. The horse will drink water only if it wants to drink water. It's like that. So you have to raise yourself. You are your own best friend, or you're your own worst enemy. Okay. For one who's conquered the self by oneself, for that person, the self is a friend. One who's not conquered their mind, who's not conquered themselves, that person, they are like their own worst enemy. So that's what we have discussed so far till verse 6.6. From 7, 8, 9, he continues on this pathway, just explaining a little more about Karma Yoga, and it leads towards meditation in verse 10. So, what does he do? In verse 7, Lord Krishna is telling, this is after explaining that you are your own best friend and your own worst enemy. The person who's already established in the self, that person is peaceful. And he, when is he peaceful? When he conquers his own mind, is established in the self, and is not perturbed by cold or heat, by pleasure or by pain, and he is not disturbed by somebody praising him or somebody insulting him. So he's somebody who's unchanged by other people's behavior towards him, or by the environmental factors, or anything else. Goes on to explain that a yogi is called enlightened when one has gained the knowledge of the wisdom. What wisdom are we talking about? The knowledge of the self, and one who's unperturbed, one who's not disturbed by their senses. With kind of repetition of what we did in the previous verse, in verse 7, but in slightly different way. One who is not disturbed by his senses and treats dirt, stone, and gold alike. So he does not have any, he does not place any importance on gold, or he places as much importance on gold as he does for stone and dirt. Verse 9, continuing the theme, he says, one who sees the sameness in all, like we discussed, the dirt, stone, or gold, one who sees the same thing in all, is special, and they see the same thing, they behave the same way, whether it is their well-wishers, their friends, their enemies, whether it is neutral person, somebody who is not, so somebody who is indifferent to them, somebody who's a mediator, somebody who's repulsive in nature, somebody who's a relative, somebody who's a saint, and somebody who's a sinner. So their behavior does not change. They are the same no matter what. From here on, from verse 10 and 11, he introduces meditation. But I'll come back to that after doing these 3 verses with you. Let me share this one. Okay, hopefully you guys can see this. All right, and if you can repeat after me. Jita Atma.
Jita Atma.
Prashantasya. Samahita. Parama Atma. Shita. Ushna. Sukha. Dukkeshu. Tatha. Mana. Apamanayo. So, Jita Atma. So, Jita Atma is one who's conquered. Jita is conquered. One who's conquered what? Their mind. We did say that Atma is sometimes referred to as the mind, sometimes it is the body, sometimes it is the actual Atma that we refer to. Here, in this case, it is the mind. Somebody who's conquered their mind, they are completely Prashantasya. Prashantasya is completely quiet, or they are peaceful. Okay, they're peaceful. How or when they are established? Samahita. Samahita is established. Paramatma. Paramatma is Brahman or God, however you put it. And they're not disturbed when they are in Shita or Ushna. Shita is whether it's cold, Ushna is heat. Sukha dukkha. Sukha dukkha is happiness or they are in distress. Tata also mana apmana. Mana is when somebody is praising them, when somebody is giving them that respect. When somebody is apmana is insult. When somebody is insulting them or giving them disrespect. These people do not change. They are always peaceful. Okay. So next one, if you can repeat after me, Jnana, Vijnana,
Jnana
Jnana
Vijnana
Triptatma,
Triptatma
Triptatma
Kutastha,
Kutastha
yeah, Vijitendriya,
Vijitendriya
Vijitendriya
Yukta,
Yukta
Iti Uchyate,
Iti
Iti
Uchyate
Yogi,
Yogi
Yogi
Sama,
Sama
Sama
Loshta,
Loshta
Ashma,
Ushma
Kanchana.
Kanchana.
Okay. So here he's talking about a yogi, and a yogi is said to be enlightened. Yogi Uchyate Yukta. So we're talking about a yogi is said to be an enlightened person when they are Triptatma. Triptatma is somebody who's wholly fulfilled. Tripta is fulfilled. Atma, somebody who's wholly fulfilled or somebody who's satisfied. By what? Jnana. Jnana is knowledge. And Vijnana is also knowledge. But what is the difference? One is knowledge, the other is wisdom. So with knowledge, we have the way one gains knowledge and wisdom is traditionally we call something, we use three words: Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. So Shravana is listening. You basically you have a teacher who's explaining the concepts and you're listening to it. And it's no different to what you do today. Manana is understanding it. If you have any questions, ask. So Shravana, Manana. Nididhyasana is you're contemplating it and you're actually applying it. So these are the three stages. So the first one, Shravana, is knowledge, gaining the knowledge. Vijnana is the next two, Manana and Nididhyasana, where you're applying the knowledge, you're realizing the knowledge, you're applying it. So that is what Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana is. Okay, so that's what. Then Kuta. Okay, Kutastha. Kuta is anvil. Anvil is I don't know if you know what that word is. In the olden days, blacksmiths, they used to have a solid metal looking object on which is pretty much flat on top, and they used to use use other metal to flatten it and all that to make spears or any ornaments or anything like that. They used to hit it on the anvil. Anvil would not change, but the actual metal object that they are trying to carve out of the raw material they have, that is formed, that takes shape. So that's the anvil. So that does not change. So he's talking about they're using that to explain Kutastha. Just like an anvil, this one remains unchanged. Okay, with knowledge and wisdom, you remain unchanged and unperturbed. Vijit Indriya. Vijita is one is conquered. Indriya, senses. One who's conquered the senses. Iti sama. Iti, thus. Sama looks equally at what? Losta, dirt, ashma, stone, kanchana, gold. Kanchana, even I think today also we use that word, gold. So a yogi is called enlightened when one has gained knowledge and wisdom, and one who's unperturbed, one who remains undisturbed by one's senses and treats dirt, stone, and gold alike. All right, we'll do one more verse. I think we're almost to the end of the session. All right, so if you can repeat after me. Suhrin,
Suhri
Mitra,
Mitra
Yudhasina,
Dasna
Dasna
Jasta,
Shasta,
Shasta,
Devasya,
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 Bandhushu,
Bandhushu,
Sadhu,
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 Api,
Api,
Cha,
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 Papeshu,
Papesh,
Papesha,
Samabuddhir,
Samabuddhi,
Vishishyate.
Vishishyate,
So we're looking at Samabuddhir Vishishyate. So Samabuddhir is somebody who we just described in the previous verse, somebody who looks at dirt, the stone, and gold as the same. They doesn't differentiate between them. It's just it doesn't have any significance to them. So Samabuddhir, we're talking about somebody who has the same intellect or looks at things the same way, is special. Vishishyate is that person is special. They look at their behavior towards their well-wishers. Suhrita. Suhrita is somebody who is a well-wisher. Mitra is a friend. Ari. Ari is an enemy. Udasina. Udasina is somebody who's indifferent. Madhyastha. Madhyastha is somebody who mediates. Dveshasya. Dveshya. Dveshya is somebody who is repulsive. Bandhushu. Bandhu is a relative. Sadhushu. Sadhushu is a pious or somebody who is a saintly. Api as well as, and Papeshu, the sinners. So somebody who's Samabuddhi, somebody who has a vision of sameness is special. They are the same with everyone towards their well-wishers, friends, enemies, neutral persons, mediators, repulsive people, relatives, saints, as well as sinners. All right. Next week we can start the verses on meditation. It's not too complicated, but if you think you can apply it, go for it. I can help you guide it. Even I've started meditating over the last few weeks. I've tried to at least, but let's see how we go. If you guys are interested, we can do it together. Anyone have any questions?